Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about my first server or NAS or whatever you want to call it. So what exactly we are talking about here? We are talking about for my first true NAS box, so to say. Now, you have to understand why the heck want to go through this much hassle and build of your own rather than buying someone new. Now if you are in any way related to IT industry, you are IT admin or you are working programming, trust me when I say this, tools like this are literally your backbone. Like, I cannot even tell you how many people today have their job simply because of virtualization. And here's the deal, there is no substitute of actually trying the damn thing. So likelihood of you actually having the ability to afford Amazon Web Service just to try it, yeah, that's not likely. However, you can still get a real world experience, and specifically troubleshooting experience, if you build your own, and that is priceless. That's why you will always find high level admin people always building their own stuff, because you may think they're wasting money and time and all that. No, first they are saving money. Second, the experience you gain for this in an IT career is like shut up, take money. Like, I'm not even joking. I literally have a friend who, because he became such a good in virtualization, he literally is in Australia right now, which again, it's a damn good career jump, so to say. So from a learnings point of view, education point of view, and training point of view, shut up and do this. And another aspect is, okay, that's just the value of it. What the hell is this thing? Well, it's a network attached storage, meaning right now I have the ability to just connect it to this Ethernet from this puppy to my switch, and everything in that's connected to that is to the switch. Either in top floor and this floor has a folder where I can dump file. It's a network attached storage. That's good. On top of that, if I want to, I can make them into my local Netflix, actually even global if I really want to, but it can be done. And you're like, how the heck? Have you ever heard of Plex? That's the same thing. Jellyfin, same thing. You upload media into this either can dump the media directly if you are in local network. If you are in global network, as in World Wide Web, it can transcode it so it consumes less bandwidth. Literally exactly the same thing that Netflix does. And auto backup, which again, from nowadays for mobile phone point of view, this is like a really significant, because again, mobile phones do not have that much storage, 128 gigabyte to 256 gigabyte, these sort of things. And if you can back them up regularly, that's priceless kind of thing. So there is a lot of value, and it's only limited by you. NAS is just getting started, getting your feet wet. After that, go YOLO. So I'm gonna make your life a bit easier. I'm gonna make some selection and you can just go with it. Do not waste time into this. As you get better, you will figure out what you want. But as of now, just to filter out your chaos, so to say, let's go with TrueNAS. Why TrueNAS? It's really good. And specifically, it has ZFS. I have already made a video about that puppy, Zettabyte file system, that was made by someone else. It was now then open sourced. And then this company, TrueNAS made it into a complete package, which is again open source and available, but you can pay for it for enterprise grade service. So that's up to you. Now it has a lot of resources, meaning if you want to do anything about it, I can guarantee you there will be at least 5 or 6 tutorials available on that in every format that you can think of. So that's the good part. It's very popular. It has very high quality file system, and basically the primary reason I wanted to go into with ZFS and recommend people ZFS is simply because it has the ability to handle bitrot on its own, and that is primary. If you put file into this, you do not want to be in a scenario where it's like, hey, I dumped a file into this 5 years ago and now that file is corrupted, even though file is there. That happens, bitrot. It has happened to me, so I've learned it the hard way. That shall go with ZFS. So that's why get with TrueNAS. It's good. Is there a penalty compared to other things? Yes, one primary penalty. It's not very flexible compared to Unraid, but again, Unraid is paid. And again, does not use something like ZFS. So ZFS, you put a file into this, it will give you that file back. Does not matter 1 year from now or 5 years from now. It will keep maintaining it. So that's a very primary reason why I'm going with TrueNAS. But you have to invest all the hard drive in on one go. Slowly upgrading it is like very tedious. Not impossible, but not desirable, so to say. So select TrueNAS. Now, the moment you go into TrueNAS website, you will find two options. So there will be one option, TrueNAS Core. Another option will be TrueNAS Scale. Go with Core. Core is basic. Core is getting started. Once you become gain expertise with the whole ecosystem, and you are like, hey, I think I can understand virtualization, go YOLO with Scale. But start with Core. I'm just simplifying the selection process. Okay, so what do you need to start with? Just pen drive. Any pen drive will work, because again the file size is very small, so even 4 gigabyte is more than enough. And in terms of basically Uh, how do you etch it? You can use Balena etcher, you can use Rufus, go YOLO on it, but be mindful. There is one warning. If you are not familiar with this, you will freak out the moment it's completely does the flashing. It will stop showing up in your windows. Even though it is there in the windows, you can go into partition manager and see it, but it will not show up because again the file structure has been changed. It changed from NTFS and exFAT to something else, most likely ZFS. So it would be very difficult to actually see it. So do not freak out if you're like, hey, what happened? Why the heck I can't see it? You can still see it. Go into partition manager and see it. Do not freak out. Do not reformat it. So it's there. Just a warning. So that gets you the key to start your whole process. Now, what about the computer? Now here, if you guys have watched my channel for long enough, you would have understood. Once ago, I had this computer. This is my first ever computer, almost 20 years old at this point in time. Dell Inspiron 535S. I was not very smart when I bought this. The reason why I bought, pre-built rather than assembled is simply because, again, I did not knew about enough computer and did, valued warranty. So I did this. This puppy did serve me well, but you can see this is a slimline case, meaning you can use half-height GPUs. That was like not a best decision. And I did try to convert this into NAS. Almost everything would have worked, except the fact that freaking motherboard has 4 SATA ports. The physical connector that you need, that SATA plug, yeah, that's missing. Dell saved money by that, removing plastic ports. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I did try it. Seriously try it. Like, heck, because this is such an old computer, it does not even have gigabit Ethernet. So the Ethernet that is here, this puppy is only 100 megabits. So basically 10 megabytes per second, almost useless, less than USB 2.0. However, I did buy, as you can see, I did buy a gigabit card on it. And this computer is sold. It does not have PCI Express. It has PCI. So this card is from PCI. This, thankfully, the graphics card is PCI X. I did try that, but it's like that SATA port system is like I had to buy another bridge so I can do that. And given the fact that I have GPU and all that, it's like I did try it. Not a good idea. So that means there is a limit how old you can go. Practically speaking, don't try to go 20 years old. So let this be a lesson. I learned it the hard way that yeah, you can go old, but don't try to go 20 years old. However, what about this puppy? This puppy is the reason why I have my YouTube channel. This puppy carried me away. And if you have watched the channel's live stream where I built my new computer, that was 1 year ago, this has been deprecated. Now, this is far more robust compared to that one. But again, this is still ancient. Okay. It was made in good old Cooler Master technology. Nothing broke, hilariously enough. So, as you can see, like I needed to put a plug there for basically add on bay for getting USB 3.0. It was so new. Like when the motherboard was announced, there was no USB 3.0. And in terms of processor, I bought the dumbest processor available at that time. That is Bulldozer. Yeah, this puppy has Bulldozer, AM3 socket and Bulldozer. Yeah, I wasn't very smart. I went from pre-built to assembled, but I did not know how to select components quite well. However, this computer served me quite well for quite some time. And again, whole channel is built on this. I just got a new computer now. So if you have anything like this, 10 years old, this is actually a very good candidate. It has onboard gigabit. Damn, I'm old. And here's the deal. It has enough SATA ports. It has 6 SATA ports, meaning I can actually build a very competent thing. However, this is so ancient, it does not have NVMe. It wasn't invented yet. And in terms of RAM, it only goes to 32 gigabytes of RAM. Now, be mindful. TrueFS, ZFS does kind of require 1 gigabyte per terabyte of RAM, so to say. So if I populate right now, it is 16, meaning I can easily buy around 16 terabytes of hard drive. 2 of them, not 2, pardon me, 8 terabytes, 2 hard drives, and it will map perfectly. And it does calculate based on the raw storage and not active storage. Active as in like what you get after, priority data, you still get like it is going to count the nameplate. So if I have nameplate 2 terabyte, it will require 4 gigabyte of RAM. Now this puppy has 16, so more than enough. I have more than enough room to upgrade, and I can go up to 32. That is not that much. That simply means I can buy like 2 16 terabytes hard drives or bit more than that. But that is like more than good enough nowadays. And be mindful, those hard drives are super duper hyper expensive in India. I have no reason why, but they are way too expensive. But again, from a learning point of view, more than good enough. And any computer that you are buying in DDR4 can easily scale up to 128 gigabytes of RAM. Most likely most motherboards can do that. Till 64 is like you have to buy a really crappy motherboard that will have 64 gigabit limit, but you can do that. So in terms of computer, you do not have to worry too much about it. However, if you are living in a power stress scenario, meaning where your electricity is not very reliable, there is one penalty of going this old. These are not very energy efficient components. Like this is ancient computer, so it's not it like even on nothing doing anything seriously. Yeah, almost 100 watts of power draw. Not very efficient bulldozer. It's a room heater basically. So because again in my area the power is really bad, and I run on solar inverters, so I have to shut it down most of the time. It will only turn on weekends. So even if it drains my solar inverter too much, my work day will not be lost. So that is a penalty. From a learning point of view, more than good enough. From I'll keep it running 24 into 7. I hope you have good electricity and cheap electricity. So first requirement is good, so you can actually do it. Second, can you afford to do it or not? So that is one penalty of going this old. Anything like 5-6 years old, like that would be far better than that. So this is the computer part of it. So what about the RAM? RAM amount, be very mindful. Do not calculate, oh, I'm rated, so I'm gonna require a dump 32 gigabytes. Be mindful, it's almost like a tree mapping where they are doing it. So they do need to keep parity data also there in the RAM stick itself. So do not make that mistake. Another aspect, what about having a GPU? Like this puppy has a very recent GPU, GTX 1070, very new graphics card. Now, can I use that GPU for other things? Like if I want to my own Netflix, this puppy is still useful. However, I have no need for that. I do not actually do that. But again, if you want to do that, you can do that. So GPU is completely up to you, and there are a lot of amazing options specifically from Intel, because Intel has made really good like video encoding and decoding equipment, and they have been doing it onboard graphics for so long, so they are good at it. And that's another thing. If you are building brand new equipment, do not buy a system that requires dedicated GPU. Again, this problem has been solved. If you buy AM5 motherboards, all of them have integrated AM5 CPUs, all of them have integrated GPUs. So that's a solved problem. But again, if you buy AM4, be mindful, only some APUs have integrated GPUs, and you were like, is it necessary? Especially even if you're like, hey, what if I do that? Yeah, it kind of is. Like, trust me, because any fault happens, any driver malfunction happens, you're like, you need a failsafe. And again, if you're only focusing on NAS, try to get onboard graphics, the lowest energy consumption you can achieve. So GPU is there. And if you are running any sort of corporate load into this, basically where this is like critical, do invest into IPMI, either on a board level, which is super expensive, or get a Raspberry Pi IPMI. I have made dedicated videos on those also. So this is the computer part. You do not have to worry too much, and you can buy second hand, go YOLO on it, does not matter. However, do not buy second hand memory. So what do you need from memory? Like this is the key. How do you start? Well, you start with something like this. So first thing, because again, this is an ancient computer, you need a SSD. Now, can you use a mechanical drive, small mechanical drive? No, it's not recommended. Do use SSD. And again, you do not need large capacity of it. So it's very cheap nowadays. Like even 60 gigabyte would be more than enough. So trust me, you can buy, like, do not cheap out on this. And again, I do not mean cheap out in terms of performance. You do not need high power, but you do need to have some reliability. So in this scenario, because again, this was my main work computer, I did not cheap out on the SSD. SSD I bought was Samsung 850 Pro, which again, when it was released, was quite high-end equipment. This has 256 gigabyte, and this has 10 years warranty. So still, original warranty is still valid on this. So, any capacity will work for you. You do not have to worry too much about that. So that's your SSD for operating system. Now, if it's a critical system, do have a clone of it, as in like two of them. ZFS will give you that option where you can clone the data. So in case of one failure, do not, you will not fry your system. Now, be mindful, if you're actually doing this and you are that critical about it, don't buy same SSD. Meaning, if buy one from Crucial, buy another for Samsung, always have two different brand. So you do not have single point failure. Because seriously, let's say Crucial had a firmware bug or Samsung had a firmware bug, in those sort of scenario, you won't be like, oops, both of them got fried at the same time. Please make sure of that. So that takes care of the OS. You do not have to buy too much about it. Small size, more than good enough, but do not try to install it on pen drives. It will scream at you. And again, it will not even last very long. So what about the hard drives? Now, this is the most expensive part. Everything here, you most likely already have it. And even if you try to get second hand or even first hand, not that expensive. It's the hard drives that's going to kill you. And I have no idea what happened in India, but hard drive prices have went ballistic. So my brother had like two ancient external enclosures that had 2 terabytes of capacity. He just gave me that. So I pulled out the hard drives from inside it. So that's the main puppies here. So the hard drives are basically this exact same thing. Seagate Barracuda. That's 7,000 RPM, which is not recommended for NAS. You're supposed to use 5,000 because again, power draw would be too high. And again, these things are again not designed for very long endurance uptime, so to say. So if you read the manual, it will say like 2,400 hours on time. Like, wait a minute, that's too low. Well, the idea is that is not the what you call the maximum. That's yearly, meaning they're expecting you to only use it for 6 hours a day. So be very mindful. That's why there are different brandings. You have Hawkeye surveillance drives. They are designed for much higher on time, but not for random read and writes. Then you have Barracuda focused on read and write. Again, same thing applies on Western Digital also. My current computer have Western Digital disks, so I have surprisingly large amount of SanDisk failure. And again, I've been using it for long enough, so I have consumed hard drive. So 2 is bare minimum. Do not start with 1. 2 is bare minimum. Why? So you can mirror it. Now be mindful, if you're old enough, you know for a fact that hard drives do not last. No matter how good the hard drive is, no matter how good the warranty is. Be mindful, warranty only goes for 5 years. So it's not even an SSD grade. If you can build a RAID array from SSD, damn, you have very deep pocket. Yeah, in those scenarios, you do not need very high redundancy. Because again, SSDs have very high, very long reliability. And if they fail, rebuilding is very quick. Rebuilding these puppies are very tedious, because remember, this is very easy. The interface speed is 250 Mbps while the capacity is only 2 terabyte. If you do that with the highest large capacity drive that is available nowadays, that puppy crosses 20 terabytes while speed is exactly the same, 250 Mbps. So rebuilding will fry your second hard drive. So always have starting point 2, mirror. What about 3? Have 1S parity. That will improve your storage efficiency, as in like now you will have 33% of 33% data that is useful. So that is very good. Now if you buy all the hard drive in bulk, please buy a few extra hard drive and keep them in cold storage, meaning do not plug them in. Just keep it. Trust me, it's one of those things, hard drive fail all at the same time. That's the biggest danger about hard drives. And again, that's why we have backup 3, 2, 1. If no matter how good your NAS build, no matter how good the hardware is, server grade equipment, ECC RAM, all those jazz, does not mean jack stuff, because again, hard drives fail at the same time. So you buy brand new hard drives, and 1 or 2 hard drive will fail in the early days, and then everything will be flatline, and then after 5 years, randomly things will start to fail. And when you try to rebuild it, likelihood of other failure is exponentially high. That's why anytime you are doing something critical and you are dealing with, let's say, 5 hard drive, have 2 hard drive for parity. The reason for that is the moment one hard drive goes poof, you need to put another hard drive and rebuild it while making sure that nothing else collapses. And again, it will happen. And it all happens at the same time. So we have learned it the hard way. That's why in ZFS, you will always get that option of when you're building pools in TrueNAS, it will say Z1, Z2, Z3, basically 3 parity disks. Now, 3 parity disks should only be used if you are using 10 drive array, but 2 is bare minimum. Like 1 is like 1 to 1, that's good enough. That's for a good smart point. 3, 1 parity, good enough. 4, again 1 parity, good enough. 5, yeah, put 2 parities. Just put 2 freaking parities. Don't. And there is another benefit of it. If you're like, hey, what if I just put too much parity? Not only it improves your redundancy in terms of hard drive endurance, it also gives you much higher read speed and very high write speed. That's another benefit of it. Even though these hard drives are like, hey, barely 250 Mbps, pile enough of them. Heck, even with these two, I'm exceeding 300 on the internal testing. And right now, the biggest limit is the network attached link, so to say. Now, if this video does well and does well in my Hindi channel also, I'll buy the 2.5 gigabit NIC and I'll see whether it works with the TrueNAS core or not. I've seen people making that work with that exact chipset work with TrueNAS scale. I'm not sure about the core, so I'll try it myself. It's not that expensive, and my motherboard, that new computer, has 2.5 gig. Networking did not improve that much, like compared to my 20 years old, 10 years old, and now network did not improve. SSD is improved drastically compared to like what we were like whoa to like what we have right now. Like my current computer SSD is like multiple gigabyte per second. That's like much faster. Hard drive's capacity went, speed did not went. Graphics card went exponentially better, RAM became exponentially better, CPU became efficient and all that. Networking is just like stuck. And that's why whenever you see people like Linus Tech Tips or almost anyone is like, how the heck you are doing video editing on network-based system? Yeah, because they are using 10 gigabit pipe and they're not relying on one disk. One disk is not fast enough. Have enough of it. Now it will be like, I got you, fam. You have enough of this, I got you, fam. Like have 5, 6, 10. The moment you start to touch 10 disk, read and write speed is fast enough where you can at least handle like 4 or 5 editors, lightweight video files. If all of them are running, all iVideo files, that might stress it. So that's the hard drive part of it. You need pen drive to start it. Use Bell IHR because again that's what TrueNAS recommends. So go YOLO on it. One SSD for your operating system, hard drives, and in terms of network, gigabit is bare minimum. Do not go older than that. Trust me, you will hate yourself. I know. Because again, if you do gigabit properly, it will give you 100 megabits read and write reliably without any issue. That's more than good enough. At 2.5 gigabit, that's around 320, I think, Mbps read and write speed, which is fast. Like at that point, almost all application will work directly without any issue. So, and because again, these things uses RAM as the caching layer, it's actually very snappy. That's why you do make sure that you terabyte to terabyte, you are matching a terabyte to gigabyte of RAM. So this is how, and how do you install it? Just plug this puppy in, select this as a boot, and be very mindful when it shows you the hard drive. You will press enter, it will not do anything. You'll be like, what the hell is happening? You have to press space bar to select the disk. Yes, it's mentioned there, but nobody reads it. I did not also read it, and I wasted time. It's like, why it's not working? They're like, oh, you're supposed to press space bar to select the disk. So boot, select this boot, and then go YOLO on it. And once you get the installation done, connect it, and if you have a monitor connected to this, it will display a IP number. Go that IP number into your browser. Exactly how you get your router shows up, exactly this will show up. And then you can configure everything. Like you can configure the pool, which again, if you are starting with basic 2 of them, very easy. Just select 2 of them, stripe it, done, go home. And what about actually setting it up? There are more than enough tutorials. And again, this part I wanted to focus on video. And like, why would you want to go through this much hassle? Even though, like in terms of power, I'm like, people generally buy old server hardware, which is very power hungry and very noisy. This gives me half of the problem. It is very quiet, whisper quiet. Like you can say, like it's like every fan in this puppy is 120 mm, so it's quiet as hell. Heck, this fan that is for hard drives, that is like 140 mm. Quiet. Everything is quiet. That's not an issue. Power wise, it's like it consumes 100 watts, man. And again, I haven't even added a Raspberry Pi to it, or I do have a other system. I'll try to figure out how to make a IPMI for this puppy. That would be awesome. But again, from a learning point of view, do this. Like, it's not like it would be helpful. No, do this. Like, if you want to figure out actual enterprise grade equipment and what the hell is the file system and all that, trust me, start with this and then you will thank me later. So this was my presentation on my first freaking NAS. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.